let's take a look at the other regional rivalry match that we had circled on our calendars. OL Reign versus Portland Thorns. That closed out opening day. It was NWSL action after dark for sure. Really coming through for us clutch in this one. This was the game that we saw with another draw, right? Sort of kind of kick things in motion here. 1-1, splitting the points between both of these sides. Lisa, what did you see on this game? Because I heard you on that call.
This game was very fun. You can tell that the rivalry is real. It is there. Any new player that had come into either of these sides, they were educated about the rivalry. They knew that big things were to come between OL Reign and Portland Thorns. And I think we saw that, right? There was tussles, lots of cards being thrown around in this one as well. I was very, very impressed and not surprised with OL Reign and their ability to manipulate the play, impose their game on Portland Thorns. The passing sequences, the movement off the ball, the patience with their decision making. I was super, super impressed with that. And I think all of those things led up to the first goal, the opening goal for Sofia Huerta that came in just the 19th minute, because OL Reign was passing the ball around. They had different opportunities to shoot or to send crosses in, and they were patiently waiting for the right moment, the right player, the right space to do that. And that patience is good when you have it in moderation. Too much of it, and it becomes just a pass around game. But that wasn't the case with OL Reign. They knew the moments when to strike first. It's a beautiful layoff from Angelina, and Sofia Huerta, what'd she say? She just smacked the crap out of it. And that's what she wanted to do with that ball. What a shot from Sofia Huerta, the defender. I mean, she's played all over the pitch, but now as a defender for Laura Harvey, this goal set the tone. I was very, very impressed with what I saw from OL Reign. And of course, responses from Portland Thorns just a few minutes later, about 10 minutes later, Christine Sinclair. I think from Sophia Smith, I didn't see as much as I wanted to see, or as much as I maybe thought I was going to see, but it's because OL Reign handled her very well defensively. She was able to make good runs, get on back shoulders of defenders, and slip in behind. But OL Reign was there and able to do that. I think Tullis Joyce, goalkeeper for OL Reign, that is a young goalkeeper. We've talked about this in our preview of this. Not a lot of experience at the goalkeeper position, but Tullis Joyce doing a nice job against Portland, which is a high-powered team. But when you look at these two, midfield to midfield, OL Reign dominated that area of the field.
Yeah, I think going into this one, we were chatting a little bit about it. We were sort of keeping the middle third, right, of this game kind of circled a little bit, just sort of looking at the players available for this type of match. And we just sort of felt that perhaps the midfield, OL Reign's midfielders just had a little bit more in their arsenal, compared to Portland Thorns, right? Considering the players that they had unavailable for this match. And to sort of see that opening goal, right? Not having Huerta having all that space to be able to sort of pull that trigger. And Sophia Smith, really active both on and off the ball, just unable to sort of get that breakthrough goal. But we just sort of saw like how this type of menace that she could be on the pitch, right? And forcing this type of attention around her, which eventually led to that equalizer for Portland Thorns. It was so it's a little bit funny, right? To sort of see this pairing, right? 21-year-old Smith with a 38-year-old Christine Sinclair. I'm excited to sort of see its transgression of what it looks like as the year continues. But what we saw in this opening half, for Smith to be able to go ahead and just attract all that kind of attention, you kind of wonder if there's going to be like a little bit of a sleeper hole tactic going on in the future with these two up top together. And Christine Sinclair is absolutely the most dangerous player that you could probably sleep on. I don't care what version or what era of her you're getting. She has far too many NWSL highlights for people to sort of forget that she is a lethal player on the pitch when ignored. So that's how it stood, though, in terms of kind of leveling things out, right, in terms of this game, because once it got into that second half, Portland looked like they sort of started to take back the game a little bit and kind of level things out. But in leveling things out, it ended up staying, through a 1-1 draw for both of these teams. And ultimately, by the time that final whistle win, it kind of just felt like that makes sense. That makes sense of this
Mhm.
kind of game. Boils down to a 1-1 draw. And we're going to maybe open things up a little bit with this game, because another thing that we want to hone in on this game about is maybe a breakout, a defensive performance, right? And it's funny because we're talking a little bit about a player like Huerta, who had a really strong performance, but is on these highlight reels breaking through as the goal scorer, right? Versus like the lockdown, kind of defense and awareness that she brings to that position. And then there's also a goal highlight in this one where there is a bit of a defensive breakdown for the Reign. So it's kind of like, gosh, like, what are we going to do here with this one? But we're thinking a little bit outside the box for this one. And when it comes to sort of a defensive player of the match award that we want to go ahead and issue that to, we thought about going with Quinn for this one, in terms of what they bring to the pitch and what they bring to that position. There was literally a moment in this match where Ken had to go ahead and find themselves backtracking a little bit to sort of
Yeah.
break off on the and intercept, and sort of break off and close down an attack. So it's evident what they bring to this team in the midfield, right? This sort of level of calm, this sort of level of awareness.
Yes.
And yes, being able to go ahead and have that vision and awareness to break out a pass, but to also be able to recover and break down the opposition as well. So I think we're going to go ahead and give them the defensive player of the match for this one.
Well deserved for Quinn, because they are one of the most defensive players in the world. I mean, we see them play with Canada and in the NWSL, and a lot of times that defensive midfield position can go unnoticed because it's not a flashy position. And even times when Quinn plays, they go unnoticed
Yeah.
because they're doing their job correctly. I think we're going to get into all of the other games that happen, but across the league, this weekend in the Challenge Cup, there was a lot of rookies, new players in that sixth position. Even on the other side of the field, Sam Coffey for Portland Thorns, she was in that defensive midfield position. And when you compare Quinn's play to someone like Sam Coffey or Jalen Howe for Racing Louisville, who was also in that defensive midfield position, the comparison is very obvious. So for anyone that is confused about why Quinn is as good as they are at that position, as that defensive midfielder, when they can connect passes from left to the right of the field, they can break up defensive plays, they can stop transition, quick transition from the other team. Watch other sixes. They don't do that as well as Quinn
Yeah.
does that. And that is what is so impressive. They're doing it. The other ones, Jalen Howe, Sam Coffey, they're
Yeah.
doing it in bits and spurts. And they're also young and rookies stepping into this league. And Quinn, they have a lot more experience at the international level and in this league, but they do it so well.
Yeah.
Quinn is phenomenal on both
Yeah.
sides of the ball, and that's what makes them so special. And they are defensive player of this
Yeah.
weekend for sure.
We had to give it to them. Absolutely.